Uh, the notification for IFoS 2026 examination has already been released, and there are like 80 seats in total, which is like significant decrease from the last few years, whereby we would have been having like 150, almost 150 seats, but it has been like greatly decreased to the 80, and this is quite disheartening to see. And in the backdrop of it, the release of notification, we at NFU, and particularly me, who has been like someone who is in the uh, uh, prominent mentor in the like IFoS field since the IFoS reflection, and now with NFU, have been attending to numerous of the queries with respect to what sort of optionals for the IFoS that needs to be filled. So in the context of that, I thought like maybe uh, give you some idea or have some discussion with you, particularly with respect to what sort of options that exist in, what their features are, or I mean what their nature is, what the features are, how they actually fare in the exam, how they are to be prepared, so that with such information you can make an informed decision about what to put in the form for the choosing of the optionals. So I, Nikhil Joshi, welcome you to this IFoS 2026 optionals and informed decision session, whereby like we'll be discussing and deliberating on what sort of optionals are for the choice in the exam for the IFoS mains. But particularly, I'll be give you a bit of hint and bit of details into what sort of nuance I did understood from my experience, and what sort of wisdom I tried to build from the conversations that I had with like many of the batchmates or many of the like the uh, past officers with whom I had like opportunity to speak with. Uh, I hope like this session would be of a great help for you, because this is one thing like you can actually rely upon to have as an input to make choice for it. फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट थिंग इज व्हाई द कंटेक्स्ट, आई मीन ये मुझे ये रिकॉर्ड करने का जरूरत ही क्यों पड़ा, या फिर इसका जरूर व्हाई यू शुड वॉच दिस वीडियो. फर्स्ट थिंग इज everyone who actually appears for the IFoS examination, उसके पास में एक confusion रहता है कि what sort of optionals to put in. Even if like someone who has let's say the mechanical engineering as optional in their civil services, someone who has a physics as optional in their civil services, they would also like deliberate upon whether to fill forestry as a second optional or whether to fill agriculture as a second optional. तो ये अनचार्टेड टेरिटरी, ये सब कुछ ये बहुत ही मतलब नेचुरल है, क्योंकि व्हाई, बिकॉज देयर आर टू न्यू ऑप्शनल्स एंड फ्यू ऑफ द ऑप्शनल्स व्हिच आर हियर दे आर नॉट इन सिविल सर्विसेज आल्सो. सो पीपल आर एक्चुअली कंफ्यूज्ड ऑन कि जो लोग स्पेसिफिकली आईएफओएस के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं, क्या उनको कौन से ऑप्शन लेने चाहिए फिर, क्योंकि बहुत सारी डिपेंडिंग अपॉन हु यू आर एंड डिपेंडिंग अपॉन व्हाट बेसिस दैट यू हैव, योर डिसीजन मेकिंग एंड योर line of thinking varies. So to actually like have a information as per your chain of thought is a must, and I guess we are trying to deal with that those scenarios. तो confusion एक तो रहता ही है, and many of us you actually like uh, try and look to others, and जब देखते हैं ना तो फिर तुम्हारे हिसाब से डिसीजन मेकिंग नहीं होती है, उनके हिसाब से डिसीजन मेकिंग होती है. दूसरा बात क्या है कि दे डू नॉट गिव यू द इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट थिंग्स, रादर दे गिव यू decision about things. So rather than that, I feel like to clear out the confusion, you need to know what sort of options that are there and what the context they are in. And then the second thing is wrongly filled optionals. I mean, every year, at least like 5% of the candidates who appear for the mains are, are such that, or rather, who qualify for the IFOS mains are such that they have filled the wrong optionals. जैसे there is this friend of mine who mistakenly filled botany as an optional, and he comes from engineering background, never studied bio, but he felt that like किया जा सकता है, मतलब देख लेंगे, पढ़ लेंगे. But once he picked up the subject, he got to know that it's impossible to do. Similar is the case with like another of my friend who wrongly filled animal husbandry as one of the optional. He felt that like he got through the 1 year PYQs and said that अरे ठीक है, मतलब ये इस पे तो क्या, ये इस पे बस diseases पढ़ा रहा है, कर लेंगे. And when actually like he got his civil services then uh, mains done, and he tried to like pick up the subject matter, he got to know that there are no resources for it. You need to read this much of a big books and then make notes from it and then appear for the exam. This cannot be done in the 2.5 months that you will be getting between civil mains and forest mains. Even if like you are someone who is preparing full time and you don't have the civil wala mains, then also like preparing such optionals becomes very difficult unless and until you have a bit of background from them. uh, there is another case whereby like the wrongly filled optional was done in the matter of fact that their orientation was not suited for that option. Particular is the case with, let's say, like the statistics. So there's this friend of mine who actually like has a mathematics background, but realized that he can like not fill the mathematics in the civil services. If he used to write from anthropology, but when he was like about to appear for the forest services, he chose the statistics. There was this overlap, there was this, everything was there, but again, for statistics as a subject, even for someone who has a mathematics background, cannot be done in that gap. Why? Because his information, his approach, his vision, his perspective about the subject was wrong, and that actually costed him an attempt. Next would be like to have to make a good choice, to ensure that you are comfortable with your subject matter, to be comfortable with your optional, you need information for them. And this information, actually the comparative analysis between optional is particularly lacking in the whole arena. Why I'm saying this? Because I'm someone who has been like a great aspirant for the IFoS exams. I always believe that this is one service which is like the which I would rate second in the overall hierarchy. After IS, I feel if any service which is of highest significance is this service. Why? Because of its dynamic nature. I mean, you would know that in the time to come, the future prospects of the service are excellent. But in terms of service perspective, it's all India nature, it's vicinity to nature, it's cadre based services, and the key positions that people hold in this regard, and the your touch with the like being in the background actually, and then still taking the concrete decisions is actually like the everything is balanced, which I feel in this services. So I was someone who actually was looking for what sort of things can be done. So at number of times I tried to see what options I can pick up. I began with like geology. Then I realized that this is not made for me. I mean, I realized after like 15, 20, 30 days, there was so much ratification. What I feel that like geology is the least scientific of all the subjects, so I dropped the idea. Then I became a bit of adventurist. I said कि चलो अब कुछ मतलब पढ़ना तो है ही, कुछ ना कुछ सिविल्स में इतना पढ़ लिया था, इतना कर लिया था, तो पढ़ना तो है ही, तो लेट्स सी व्हाट एल्स I can do. And I mean, I'm not joking, but I tried to go for animal husbandry wala thing. Why? Because the same thing that my friend, the same with the same quotient, with the same notion, my friend went in. I saw a couple of years of paper and realized that अरे मतलब ये तो बस वही पूछ रहा है, मतलब same themes वही around वही थी, diseases थी. There was this like मतलब लगा कि doable है, लगा ऐसा मिराज था वो. But when actually, thankfully or fortunately, what happened, like I met someone who was writing IFOS based from the animal husbandry. He was a doctor and he was a scientist also. He working in the like vaccination field for the animals, and he suggested me that देख ये ऐसे होता नहीं है, मतलब इवन इफ लाइक मैं खुद वेटरनरी डॉक्टर हूँ, मैंने मास्टर्स किया हुआ है, उसके बाद भी मेरे लिए वो पेपर बहुत चैलेंजिंग रहता है, तो फिर तुम्हारे लिए ऐसा ना रहे कि मतलब क्या दूर के बादल सुहाने, वैसे वैसे के चक्कर में मत पड़ना. Fortunately and like very thankfully, I met him and then I dropped this idea also. Then I choose the optional, which was like the agricultural engineering. And I'll tell you the rationale behind it, like what my rationale behind it was. So why I'm telling my story, why I'm telling all of this is because I think I have tried to pick every optional from the list of IFOS available optionals. This is list of available optionals, and I tried to like categorize them into 3 4 buckets. First one was I realized कि ये optional मैं कभी भी कर सकता हूँ, मतलब there was this geology, there was this agricultural engineering and agriculture. Apart from that, I realized कि forestry तो लेना ही है. Why I had decided that forestry to लेना ही है, because I realized that even in the interview transcripts and even in the like other areas of the paper, forestry is one aspect which you must know. सो आई रियलाइज कि फॉरेस्ट तो लेना ही है, मतलब एक तो मेरा मैंने अपना सोल्यूशन बना लिया था. फिर उसके बाद में मैंने देखा कि आई थॉट कि फॉरेस्ट्री एंड एग्रीकल्चर लेके आ, बट उसके बाद में आई गॉट टू नो दैट देयर इज अ कॉम्बिनेशन व्हिच इज नॉट पॉसिबल. सो देयर इज दिस फॉरेस्ट्री एंड एग्रीकल्चर कैन नॉट बी डन टुगेदर. सो आई ड्रॉप्ड इट दैट idea. Then I started with like, can I pick up forestry and geology? again the फिर उसमें देखा कि चलो the other thing came into my mind which was I discussed earlier about like too much of information, too much of ratta. uh, uh, it requires good diagrams, good schematics as well. So I thought like, and most important thing is that I realized I don't want to take a subject where which is taken by the majority. Why? Because differentiation in that subject becomes very difficult. So that was the major idea of me dropping the geology. Then what came to my mind was the and agricultural engineering, and then I picked up with it. I'll discuss the rationale when the time to come. Then after this, there is this bucket of subjects which are like common to civil services. So like the physics, mathematics, these two subjects are which, and the chemistry. These subjects are which are actually like overlapping with the CSC, majorly overlapping with CSC. So if you have these subjects, because uh, these these candidates have competition amongst themselves. So it's not like that ki, if let's say someone who comes from the physics and someone who does not have much of a background from the agricultural engineering and writes the exam, they won't be at the equal footing. They actually are at the equal footing. Why? Because like your marks will be decided by in what percentile in your optional you are. If let's say you are in the candidates, so it's called as equi-percentile normalization. So the candidate who is at 1%, 99 percentile in two optionals will have like around the similar marks. So it does not matter like where you are. If let's say someone who comes from the physics, and so he is competing all the candidates who have the physics. So those candidates who actually have civils background in the physics would be competing with all the candidates who have civils background in the physics. Uh, so their competition is not with the agricultural engineering candidates or the geology candidates or the, let's say, like botany candidates. Their competition is amongst themselves. Of course there will be variation. I'm not saying like there isn't variation with this, but the variation is very minimal. So second bucket is this. Third bucket is this engineering wala crowd. So what they do is people take like the chemical engineering, which is a bit less, but civil and mechanical engineering are the two optionals which are like very popular. I mean, they are taken by the candidates who have like who come from IES background, who come from like the same options which they have in CSC, or who have like cleared gate two with significant rank of like said single digit, double digit. So they actually choose for it. And the third bracket is the science wala bracket, the bio wala bracket, which is the zoology, the botany, and then like the veterinary and animal hus- husbandry. So these are these four brackets, and amongst them, depending upon who you are, you can pick one optional. Uh, for choosing optional, you need a bit of familiarity. What does familiarity mean? If let's say you have some background in the above subject, some background in above subject, then go for it them as a one option. So if let's say you come from like botany or zoology, you may go for it. I'm not saying you should go for it, but you may go for it because, like, if you were to go for geology or let's say agriculture, then that will be entirely new subject for you. Here also, it's something like, I'm not saying you don't have to put in that much efforts. You will have to put in the same amount of effort that a normal candidate would have to, but it can become a bit easier to start with things. You don't There will be limited attrition to begin with. My story is that, like, for me, I did not have a background in agriculture engineering. So it took me a lot of attrition in the beginning of my preparation for the agriculture engineering on what sort of orientation should be there while studying it, because I did not have the contours, the understanding, the map of the canvas of the subject in my mind. For many of the topics, you just need to know like, अच्छा इसमें ये topics है, तो if I would cover these four topics, these five topics, this portion of my syllabus is done. That sense of feeling good, the sense of completion gets missing when you like don't have the background with it or don't have the familiarity with it. Uh, Second thing is a bit of familiarity can also be drawn from what sort of engineering background you have. So if let's say someone is an engineer, then he or she has a four choices, which are like chemical, mechanical, civil, and agri. So in all of these, I feel like that mechanical engineer can go for mechanical and go for agri engineering. Civil engineer can go for civil engineer and agriculture engineering. Why? Because they are very, very cross disciplinary and very interlinked. So rather than like, so here again, like saying that, like rather than going on a something which like prima facie basis, think a bit more about them, ponder a bit about them, and see if you can like be a bit smart and then choose the other option. इसका भी मैं कहानी बताता हूँ. Next thing that you need to look forward is availability of resource material. So the optionals like animal husbandry, options like statistics, they become very difficult in a sense that there is a very limited availability of material with respect to it. The same was the case with the agricultural engineering as well when I started, but slowly, like I myself will be coming up with resources and material for the agriculture engineering. But also I'll be like, I have ensured that people who actually like appear for the agriculture engineering are made suitably available with the material as well. So this is something which I have taken myself. But with respect to other options, only like I think the physics, chemistry, physics, mathematics optionals have availability of material because they overlap greatly with the civil services. And I think geology being the one of the most popular optionals has decent availability. But apart from that, like the engineering optionals and all, they do face a bit of challenge in terms of availability of specific material. Next thing you need to know is who are you competing with again. So if let's say you are someone who actually like comes from, you don't have none of the background from none of the subjects, and you pick up a subject whereby the specialized people would compete in. Let's say you have like the computer science as a background, and then what you feel like, मुझे तो physics अच्छा लगता है, I'll like take up physics as one optional, and then I'll try and put in. You may be someone who is very smart in physics. You have done uh, uh, the triple digit rank in JE and everything. I mean, you have your basics very solid, very comfortable, and then you pick up physics, and or let's say you pick up the chemistry or you pick up the maths, and you'll say that I'm going to prepare these options after my mains exam. I'm saying it this from the background that you don't have the civil services background with these optionals. Then what you would be doing it, you would be competing with the candidates who actually have civil services, who are writing civil services with these options. So they will be a bit comfortable with the subject compared to you. So you'll be competing with them. But like if let's say there is some other optional, let's say optional there is this geology, let's say the agriculture engineering. So here, like there is a very limited chance that very little, like less than 1% scope that the candidate from the agricultural engineering would be appearing for the agriculture engineering paper in IFoS mains. Since it's not the optional for the CSE also, so that scope also get reduced. Next thing is, if let's say you are appearing from the geography, the philosophy, or the anthropology, and you feel that like, nahi, matlab, I need to like have a subject which can be completed in short term, and then you pick up geology. But again, with geology, the matter of fact is that there are 50-60% of the all the candidates who write IFoS mains have geology as their background. So you are competing with a large amount of crowd. So in that large amount of crowd, again the competition and making yourself differentiable becomes very difficult. So this is one area. Third factor is that, let's say you have a engineering from civil and mechanical or chemical, let's say, but you don't have the same optional in the civil services. Then, and you try and say, I'll be picking up this mechanical or civil engineering for the IFoS. Why? Because I have the background. This will again, I feel like, may backfire. Why? Because the candidates who have picked mechanical or civil, they actually, few of them are someone who actually like excelled in gate, or they have appeared prepared for the IES or qualified for the engineering services exam. Then you being at the same footing with them becomes very difficult. So this, who are you competing with? This factorization, this consideration must be of a tremendous significant for you. Next is, don't go on name basis. So what people would do again, like the statistics wala example. The friend of mine says that civils में मेरा भले ही मतलब philosophy optional है, but since he did BSc mathematics, he says that statistics तो मैं कर ही लूंगा. Statistics तो क्या है? Mathematics statistics से तो होता है. So he filled the statistics, but he got to know after filling that and while preparing for the mains that statistics करा नहीं जा सकता है इतने 2 महीने में. Same goes with like the chemistry. There is this friend of mine who says that chemistry तो कर लेंगे यार, जेई में तो कितनी करी है. and it actually backfired for him. Same with the agriculture. There is this friend of mine. I told him, why are you like taking up agriculture? Take forestry as a second optional. There is not much of a sense with it. He said agriculture तो मेरे को आता है, GS3 में तो इतना पढ़ी रहा है, क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न है, MSP है, वो है, सब कुछ है. आई एम कोटिंग हिज वर्ड्स. तो एग्रीकल्चर तो कर लेंगे, अब फॉरेस्ट में तो स्पेसिफिक चीजें पढ़नी पड़ेगी. And without looking at the subject matter, without looking at the syllabus, he took the agriculture as an optional and he paid the price for it. So this is one thing, like don't go from the name basis. Similar is the case with agricultural engineering also. People would say that like it's an agricultural engineering, so how would we know what's agricultural engineering? I always say, I said the same in agriculture engineering orientation session, I said the same in 15 days agricultural 15 days like strategy for the IFoS means agricultural engineering is not agricultural engineering. It's agriculture is very limited in it. Engineering is the dominant part, and since it's a multidisciplinary, every aspect of it reflects in a limited frame of reference, and it becomes quite like diversified as well to study. I like the subject, so I took a conscious decision and did not went on the name basis. Now, with respect to choices and options, first and foremost thing is you should be picking a forestry. There is like no other option for it. I mean, only and only if like you are someone who has agriculture as a background, then only I think it becomes difficult for you to like pick up agriculture and forestry. Then it becomes challenging. This is the only case. Apart from that, in every other case, there is a no situation, there is no possibility where you must not go with forestry. Why? Because this is a very doable paper, doable area. Second is utility in interview preparation. Third thing is, I mean, this is one area whereby your skills of writing, your skills of the structuring, all of these become very relevant. So if you are someone who is a strong civil services examination background, then you can go with this and like be manageable with the subject. And most important thing is when you will be like going in the service, this area you must be aware of. So अब वहां पे जाके करना ही है तो फिर अभी से कर लो. Second thing is like there shouldn't be when you feel like there is a overlap with your background subject, then you should go with the area where you have background. But again, while going with the background, factors like whom you are competing with, what sort of material and resources you have must be taken in consideration. And if let's say there is an overlap with your CSE optional, then to, I mean, there is a no question, no discussion for it. You should go with the overlap one option in the forest also. But if let's say there is a no overlap, I have realized that there are two prominent options which are present, and this is a conventional wisdom also. If you take the annual report of the UPSC also, you will know that like largest number of candidates are actually opted in the forestry optional, and then the next biggest number is the forestry, and then after that next biggest number is the agri engineering, and then I mean for maths, physics, they actually like become a major player after all of this. But if let's say there's a no overlap, then these two becomes very crucial, very central, but they both have their own advantages and own disadvantages. Let me tell you with respect to like geology. So geology advantage is that it's a doable area. Doable in terms of fact that there are resources available, there are people who will guide you, there are like factors whereby you can actually like I mean manage the things. But it is a very difficult area if you are doing it for the first time. For the first time it becomes almost like मतलब लोगों को रोना आ जाता है करने में. Why? Because the subject is a bit of vast. Second is there is too much of a rectification. You need to like learn by heart so many things. There is a limited logic with respect to it. Third is it's an area which is like detailing based. So only and only if you would know the details, you would be able to write the answers. And preparing details in a very short time becomes very difficult. And most important thing with respect to this is you actually like have to compete a lot with a lot of candidates. I mean, there will be candidates who would be writing, taking second, third attempt at the mains, and they will be comfortable with the geology, and you will be competing with them. Why? Because it's the most popular subject, most popular area, and then so here I feel like differentiation becomes a bit difficult. And if you ask me personally, the only reason why I didn't pick geology is that I wanted someone which is a bit niche also. क्योंकि मुझे compete बहुत सारे 60% लोग के साथ में compete नहीं करना था. I wanted कि मतलब मैं अपने खुद की niche में कुछ अच्छा करूं तो फिर मुझे बहुत अच्छे नंबर मिले. तो इसीलिए मैंने geology वाला idea drop किया था. Secondly, ये था कि even after availability of free resources and everything, I realized that the content material available in the market was not actually like fulfilling the demand of the exam. Yes, because that there is this very limited resources available, so it's natural for the people to go there. But अवेलेबिलिटी के साथ में उसका रिलेवेंस भी एक मुझे लगा कि बहुत कि कितना एप्लीकेबल है. आई नीड टू लुक फॉरवर्ड फॉर इट. Then I moved to the next area, which was agriculture engineering. I felt that agriculture engineering, I found all the things which I wanted in my optional were present there. Firstly, it has like judicious mix of theory and numericals. Secondly, it was a diversified area. मतलब एक ही area से अगर पूछ रहे हैं, if let's say there's only one subject matter in the exam, in the syllabus, then there's a tremendous scope of going to the great depth with respect to this. But since it's a engineering, and I got to know that like the syllabus is divided into 8 aspects, and those 8 aspects are not very interlinked with each other, I got to know that I can actually hide my weaknesses in one area by preparing another area where I'm more justified in well. Secondly, I got to know that there are concepts majorly present in and limited learning need to be done. And thirdly, a bit of numericals which were coming in the exam were kind of doable with a bit of practice. So all of these things actually attracted me a lot towards this subject. Uh, Third thing is like don't be adventurous. Again, don't be like someone who says that अरे मतलब अब prelims होगा तब देख लेंगे. But अभी भर देते हैं ना कोई सा भी random. So like people would feel in chemistry, people would fill in animal husbandry, and then when they actually clear the exam, clear the prelims, then they will realize that what sort of grave mistake that they have made. They will realize that abhi ye kara nahi ja sakta. And even like last year when I was mentoring candidates in IFoS reflections, there were few candidates who actually came to me and said that मतलब sir animal husbandry क्या करे. मैंने कहा कुछ नहीं कर सकते. Only thing that you can do is मतलब PYQ करते हो कुछ और मतलब let's fight for it. But with the choice and filling of choice itself, I felt that their probability of clearing exams got significantly reduced. We don't want to do this. We want to like clear this and clear this significant with a significant margin. Next is like be smart. How to be smart? Like let's say if you have like civil or mechanical background, rather than fill civil and mechanical, you can fill agriculture engineering. If let's say you are someone who has a uh, who has a botany background, then fill botany, and then fill rather than filling for the forestry, you may fill for the agriculture. Why? Because I think there's a great overlap between botany and agriculture. There is of course great overlap between botany and forestry as well. I'm not saying do it, but rather than like looking for the area which you have background in, you can look for the other area where your subject has a great overlap in, and there is a greater probability of you scoring large marks. So there are few candidates who actually like used to appear from the civil engineering or from the mechanical background, uh, wouldn't clearing the IFOS mains. But as soon as like they shifted from the civil or the mechanical to the agriculture engineering, they actually cleared and got the rank. So this smartness of them, their work, their smartness of like shifting to another optional of a bit of relevance, a tad relevance, actually like became very fruitful for them. So this smartness you can do. My rationale behind choosing of optional was like I started with geology. I realized कि इसमें बहुत सारा रट्टा मारना है, इसमें बहुत सारी डिटेलिंग है, इसमें बहुत सारा क्राउड है, and there wasn't like I wasn't very comfortable with another optional where there is a beat. I already used to appear with geography and civil services, and there one thing I have realized that you need option which is like not the greatest of the mainstream. A bit of like here and there would actually like the second or third optional of the most priority would be your greatest strength, not the most popular optional. That I've realized. So geology ko maine hata diya. Then I started to become a bit of adventurous. I look for animal husbandry, I look for botany, and in both of the areas I saw that like they are specialized paper, there is a limited resource availability. And then mera background bhi nahi hai. I'm like an engineer with material science background, and I don't have the background with respect to any of it. तो फिर मैंने कहा कि ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा. Then I got to know that there is agriculture engineering. Why? Because it was a very new area, and at that time there wasn't very much of a guidance available with respect to this as well. But I saw the papers, I saw the syllabus, I again did multiple things, and then what I said, चलो एक बार भर के देख लेते हैं, जो होगा वो होगा. Then I like filled it, I cleared for the mains, and then while writing mains, in the first mains, even though like I cleared my mains from the general merit, I scored very little marks in agriculture engineering. If you would have known me, you would know that I jumped my marks uh, uh, to only like 148 that year, but in the next year I jumped them to 236. Why? Because I got to know the understanding for the matter, and whatever wisdom that I'm speaking right now comes from the analysis and the internal reflection that I did during that time. So this was it. Like I tried to see how relevant it is, how much marks like other candidates are getting, and कितना repeatability, मतलब questions पूछ क्या रहा है वो, किस depth में पूछ रहा है. And for that I sat with the papers, I sat with the syllabus and looked into it. Then I got to know that in paper one there are two aspects which are there. One aspect is a civil engineering aspect, whereby like there is soil water engineering, there is a irrigation engineering, agriculture structures, and then some part which is like very general gyan. In paper two, it's very relevant to the mechanical engineering and a bit of electronics in the paper 2 section B. So I realized like this is a multidisciplinary paper. थोड़ा सा technical है. It's a bit engineering and technical, but it's not something which is like extraordinarily technical. So I got a bit comfortable since my engineering with those concepts, with those areas, and realized कि ये करा जा सकता है. तो ये एक मेरा rationale. Second is I found like it's a ग्रेट बैलेंस बिटवीन द थियोरी एंड द न्यूमेरिकल. ऐसा भी नहीं है कि सारी न्यूमेरिकल आ रहे तो फिर करना भी बहुत मुश्किल है, और सारी थियोरी आ रही है तो फिर मतलब लिखना बहुत मुश्किल बन जाता है. तो आई रियलाइज कि वेरी ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस आर बीइंग आस्क्ड रादर देन आस्किंग अबाउट लाइक द one question, one statement, which where the demand is there, and then you need to like break into subparts and then write answers, which is the case with civil services options. Here questions are very objective. They will be like 2-marker question, 4-marker question, 8-marker question, 6-marker question, and which were like the very objective. So I got that like if I do well in this, I'll be like scoring high marks. तो वो भी एक मेरा रैशनल था. थर्ड वाज द स्मार्ट कार्ड. आई रियलाइज कि मतलब अगेन जहां पे बहुत भीड़ है वहां पे भी नहीं जाना है, और जहां पे बिल्कुल ही टफ कंपटीशन है वहां पे भी नहीं जाना है. तो आई फाउंड लाइक एग्री इज अ वेरी स्मार्ट choice if you are like someone who is comfortable with engineering, who is comfortable with numericals, and who can actually like scrape through a bit. So and I actually like got the result from it as well. In 2024 I scored 236 from it, and I was like very very happy with the subject. And in 2025 I got to know that many of the candidates who were actually like about to appear for it, they were they didn't have the informed choice with respect to this subject matter. So I tried my like mentorship program for the agriculture engineering, and let's see, I mean the result is still waiting, and how would it fare in. Let's pray for the best with respect to it. But if you are someone who is not sure about what to go for, so rather than blindly putting in the geology, I would advise you to go for the agriculture engineering, because it's a great optional. Trust me, it's a very very great optional. And I have given you the all the rationals behind it, that it's actually a multidisciplinary. It focuses on rather a bit of width rather than on depth. Then again there's a repeatability, there's a technicality, there's a very limited ratification. Rather, if you know the concepts, you are good to go. Then the questions are objective, so scoring high marks becomes very like possible. And again, like it's a smart card whereby you are not competing with actually like the candidates who have the background, and you are competing with the majority of the crowd. You are perfectly like you have best of both worlds. And of course, like I've told you, forestry is a must. Forestry तो लेना ही है, उसके अलावा कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं है. मतलब if you can, तो फॉरेस्ट्री को तो फिक्स कर ही दो, फिर उसके अलावा बाकी सेकंड ऑप्शन यू व्हाट यू कैन पिक अप, लुक फॉर इट. If you have like any queries, any doubts, or if you need any clarification with respect to your position, you can connect to us at the rate NFU underscore official. And since we are talking about mains, clearing prelims for the IFoS itself is a great challenge. And to actually have that, we have our pyramid approach in the skeleton key program. This is the only program which seeks to make you clear IFoS prelims cutoff. comfortably. So it's a unique way. Me, Manish, and Aman, we all have been like but come together with different approaches to ensure that there's a bulletproof, foolproof approach to make you clear prelims. You can actually check this out also. And for with respect to anything, particularly with respect to IFOS, you can get back to us. Till then, I mean, all the best and Jai Hind.